Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program 2, where after doing a little bit of, not really experimentation, I was just doing a little bit of off-camera turning and I realized something. I know why the prograde and retrograde markers have been moving so strangely relative to what I expect. And the answer is, the reason why that's happening is entirely down to the fact that it takes into account the rotational velocity of the other craft. So if this craft is rotating towards us, that changes the retrograde marker. That's a little wild, but is something I can work with. So we're going to have to take that into account. And as you can see, this craft is not currently rotating. So we're just moving over here to get our relative speed down to nil, which is very, very close right now. But we're just going to do that, and then we'll get this aligned back up, and once everything's aligned, which I'm going to do off camera, we'll get closer again, and we'll just look to get this all docked up eventually. So that is all looking reasonably fine. I want to hold right on this node. Note how it's jumping around like this. Yeah, it's not great, is it? But we're just going to hold this position, kill the relative speed, and then we're going to align. Okay, let's just get rid of this relative speed here. 0.2, 0.1, and maybe 0? Probably 0 from here. Okay, let's align here, and let's tell this guy to align to target as well. So now we're going to see that there is some relative motion here, and that's fine. And yeah, we can see this moving around wildly, but we're just going to get this lined up, and I will be back when we are ready to get this docked again, in theory. See you guys in just a moment. Okay, I think we might be in almost a good position for this. Maybe. We'll see what happens here. I do want to change our rotate... Actually, in retrospect here, this might not be the best. Trying to pull us over a bit here. Okay. We need to just angle in. We're at just 0.1 meters per second. We need to just point at each other. And this is a long, slow process at this juncture. No doubt about that. So pointing at each other is definitely going to be a thing that needs to happen. We're mostly doing it already over here, but I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, so at this point, both craft are largely pointing at each other, and I'm just going to make a run for it. We'll see what happens. We're going to go in at about 0.3, 0.4 meters per second, somewhere around in there. Okay. Just keep pointing at each other as best you can, and hope docking forces are enough. There's a lot of mass here, no doubt about that. And we have the solar panels reasonably lined up. Are we good? We're good. Okay, we made it. Fantastic. That was a complicated docking. Mostly because of the really low turn speed and the fact that we didn't have RCS. RCS on this would have made that a lot easier, but it was absolutely possible. Fantastic. So now we only need one of these Mammoth 2 engines. We really, really don't need both of them. So I think we're going to keep this one since that's where most of the fuel is. And let's just hop into our resource manager. And we want to go into our Methalox tanks. And we want these tanks here to be out. And these tanks to be in. So something along the lines of this. So we're just going to pull any remaining fuel from here. That was only like 192 meters per second. Now we're going to decouple here. We don't want to carry that weight along with us. Perfect. Now, we only have the one active engine here, which means that we want to be controlling from this angle. Where is our probe core here? Yeah, it's this. So control from here. So that means that we are in the correct orientation now to be utilizing this Mammoth 2 engine. And that will be perfect. Now, of course, we need to head to Duna. So now that that mission is completed, we need to head, let's see, away from the sun. So it should be prograde somewhere around here-ish. Maybe like here. Okay, so something like this. And that'll push us out. Oh, that's pushing us towards the sun, isn't it? Yeah, that is. Other side. Other side. Okay. So we want to burn on the dark side then. This is better. So that's taking us out towards Duna, but that's probably a little further than we want to go right now, because I'm willing to bet we're not going to nail this timing. We're definitely not. Look at where Duna is. This isn't going to happen. So we're going to park right about here. Let's put ourselves with SAS on into maneuver node, and this is going to be a pretty hefty turn for sure. Luckily, we do have a lot of electric charge in our batteries, and we've got 8 solar panels now, although not all of them are going to be functional at all times. But that should be a little bit of a lengthy turn. No doubt about it. It's not actually that bad. It's just up to over here. So that looks reasonably fine, and I will see you guys towards the end of this turn. Okay, so here we are, pretty much entirely turned, and that will be absolutely fine. Let's warp on forward here. And we had plenty of electric charge to make that all work. I like it. We've got about 6 more minutes. 4, 3, 2, 1. Excellent. And now about 30 seconds until this burn. Now, we should only have this engine active right now. None of these engines should currently be activated, and they don't appear to be active, and obviously there's no way that this engine should be active. Only this engine should be active, and we should be facing the correct direction here. This is a pro-grade burn. We'll verify that with our map as soon as we are in our burn position here. So I kind of overshot it. It's fine. Oh, right. We're on 1% thrust. Let's change that. There we go. So with that done, let's verify that we're burning the correct direction. We are, so that looks ideal. Wonderful. So at this point, we are, of course, leaving this booster behind. That's out of here. And let's just accelerate ourselves up as much as we can. Oddly, our available delta V in this tank is going up. What are we pulling fuel from? We're pulling fuel from something we shouldn't be. There's some bad fuel flow here. Turning off that fuel crossfeed. Hang on, something is horribly wrong here. Now, we're going to have enough fuel to get through this burn and figure out what the problem is a bit later. But fuel crossfeed is disabled here now. Disabled. There definitely should not be fuel flowing from up here. But there must be. Something is going horribly wrong right now. Okay. Well, we know that this is 1,000 meter per second burn, right? So we can just warp through the rest of this burn. Why is this going up now? Okay. Our maneuver is very broken. Oh, wait a second. When we warp, it's going backwards. What? Okay. So that's definitely a bug. It must be based on, like, the root part's control direction. Okay. So we've definitely got some problems here. We're not burning right now. We're at full thrust. We're not burning because we are methalox deprived. This is saying we have full fuel here. Okay, something is horribly wrong right now. No doubt about that. So let's take a look here. Yeah, these tanks are empty. It didn't actually pull any fuel up over here. This was just a display bug out over this way. But we managed to burn all of the fuel here on a 1,000 meter per second burn. Okay, something went very wrong there. Let's reload. And I believe this autosave is probably the best one to do. I think this is right after we got docked together. So I don't think there was fuel cross-feeding down. I think we just had a display issue, and we also had a directionality issue with our warp. So that is definitely... that was quite a bug, no doubt about it. So we're turning at this point again. Okay, this is pre-turn. Sure. Well, while we're turning, I want to make sure for an absolute fact that fuel crossfeed is disabled here. 100% I want to be certain of that. Okay. Then we have this same maneuver already set up, so that looks good. I guess I'll be back after we finish this turn again. Wait, we were on the turn marker. It reset after I opened the map. We were already turned. Okay, good. Well, that was quite a bug. No doubt about that. I want to make sure that we're controlling from the correct position, which should be here. We are. And we're just going to turn for these last 30 seconds towards the marker here, but we're going to gimbal most of the way there, probably. Well, that was very awkward. Very, very awkward indeed. So this is apparently not something that we can trust, which actually makes sense because this is indicating that we're full on our fuel here. And we shouldn't be. We should have decent amounts of fuel there, but we should not be full. And yeah, we're not. We have about slightly over half a tank, like 60% of a tank. Okay, so 5, 4, are we thrust limited? Let's unthrust limit. 3, 2, 1, mark. Okay, so we're gonna burn here, and the question is, are we going to burn out all of this fuel? Now, we know for a fact that we apparently can't warp during this burn. So that's okay. We're just going to keep an eye on our fuel here, since here is unreliable. Very clearly unreliable. This is inaccurate, which also means that this is inaccurate, which is, you know, going to be exciting, but it's fine. It is fine. So this is going to propel us probably the entire burn, is my suspicion. We might get some inclination change out of it, although our inclination shouldn't be too major. And we might get some Hohmann transfer or circularization, depending on timing. We'll see what ends up happening with that. But for now, we know that we cannot warp this burn. We also know that it's slightly buggy. No doubt about that. So we cannot warp it, and this display is inaccurate. So I'm just going to hide that display here. This number is also fairly inaccurate. We now know that for an absolute fact as well. Well, we're at 1,000-kilometer apoapsis, and that's fine. We, of course, want to push our way on out of here, so we need to get our apoapsis up quite a lot higher than that. It is like a 3-minute burn, and I would normally warp this burn, but I'm pretty sure the reason why that started burning in the opposite direction is because we have our primary, like, ship component is up here. Like, this is our primary ship component here, or actually it's down here. And that's facing the opposite direction. I'm pretty sure that's the problem in that regard. So that's fine. It's just not ideal. How are we doing on fuel? Okay, we're down to about 20% fuel or so. Cool. Actually a little under, like 15% fuel. That'll be fine. So this stage is going to push us... I'm not sure that we're going to escape from Kerbal on this stage alone anymore with this fuel number. I mean, these are obviously inaccurate numbers. Wildly, wildly inaccurate. These are the real numbers. So that's fine. So we're probably, I'm not sure what the staging is going to be like. Yeah, we're going to need to separate this decoupler. And we'll have to do this manually. I'm not going to do this through the staging. The staging is going to be weird. So we're just going to decouple this as soon as we're out of fuel, which will be shortly. There we go. And now I'm going to activate this engine. There we go. Oh, I see why it's saying this. It's because this is these 5 engines. Right, and that's the current stage we're on. Mildly awkward, to be sure. I kind of want to put a new stage here. We're going to move this guy down, and we're going to do this. Okay, that's more like it. So this is apparently 5,539 DV. I don't know how real that is. That number does not seem to be decreasing. Okay, it went down to 4577 now. Okay, I'm not entirely sure what's going on here. The game is very confused as well. I wonder if we can warp from here. We're only about a minute away from finishing this burn, allegedly, so that's fine. Our thrust to weight is definitely extremely low. But we don't actually care so much about our thrust to weight here. We just want this stage to bring us, like, to Duna and halt. As long as it does that, we're okay with it. This just went up to 5539. This number is definitely not a reliable number. Yeah, no doubt about that. The game is very confused right now, but here's the thing. With this system that we have set up here, we can burn out this stage, we can ditch it, and we can bring up another stage and deliver that and dock it in with RCS this time and have ourselves another second stage here. That is very much something that we can do, if we chose to. I'm not sure we do choose to, but that is a possibility. So we're currently at like 30 kilometer, or not 30 kilometer, 30 megameter apoapsis, I believe. Gigameter? No, I think that's megameters. At any rate, we're going to just get this finished up here. The game thinks our burn is done now, but the game is very confused. The game thought that we were doing this burn on these 5 engines, which we absolutely are not doing. And we're just going to push through here. Perfect. And yeah, our nuclear engine's thrust to weight is very, very low here. There's no doubt about that, but I want to just continue this burn until we're at about this apoapsis. So we can always bring in another of these stages, and getting it here is going to be far more efficient than the first one, because this is a very, very, very heavy lander, right? So that should be absolutely fine. And we're just going to continue to push this out. I really wish that we could warp this. That would be ideal. Unfortunately, we cannot. So we'll just have to sit through this particular burn. It's not going to be too much longer, though. We're definitely making progress. As we can see, the apoapsis is pushing out and is nearly in line with this apoapsis. So we're making solid gains there. But I'm keeping an eye on our fuel here and thinking, yeah, we don't actually have nearly as much fuel as the game thinks we do. So there's that. This is on Duna, right? We need to do this on Duna, not on Dress. I'm 99% certain. So that's fine for now. In future, if we have more of these heavy lander missions, we'll make some alterations, for sure. We are going to go probably back to the strap-on fuel tanks on the second stage, like we did with our Titan lander, and we'll probably have 5 nuclear engines instead of just the 1. That will definitely help a lot. In addition, we're going to bring RCS, for sure, if we end up having to do this again, which, I mean, we're probably going to need, I'm just looking right now at our current amount of fuel. We're probably going to need to bring up a second stage, like a second hydrogen stage. If that's the case, we'll definitely put some monoprop on it, and we may enlarge it as well. There's not really a reason not to, I think. So that seems reasonably fine. Just a little bit more burn time here. I so wish that we could warp this, but we know that that's going to cause problems, unless it was based on the directionality of the engines in the current stage. I'm going to make a save here. And I'm going to warp. Aha! It was based on the directionality of the engines in the current stage. Okay, so now that we know how that works, that's wonderful. Shut down this engine, and as we can see, we've only got 3 tons of fuel left here. So that is going to be a little bit on the grim side. But let's just go ahead and warp to about here once we have escaped from Kerbal. As I said, if we need to bring up another one of these stages, it will go much, much more simply. But we would like to meet it at Duna, not in interplanetary space, because interplanetary space is going to be, shall we say, obnoxious to do a rendezvous in. I mean, we can do it, but it's going to be annoying. No doubt about that. So let's set Duna as our target. We need to head over here. It's trying to select the lander here. But let's set this as our target. And let's see what we've got. No inclination change necessary. Okay, that's ideal. So from here... Okay, just checking this timing. It's going to be like 930 meters per second to get there. Noted. And it looks like it's going to be pretty much in orbit. Okay, so there's no way that this is going to be able to get there, right? Yeah, I'm like 99% certain of that. So we'll need to take an orbit, and let's time warp to here. As long as we have 100 tons when we get to Duna, it's fine. So we're probably okay here. Probably. We can also do some pretty hefty aero braking. Okay, so now we want to create a maneuver plan sometime around here. And that's going to be a little bit cheaper for us if we're going to be working off of the apoapsis. Yeah, this is going to be slightly cheaper. So that gets us an encounter. And we'd like to have an encounter that helps us aero capture, right? So this is definitely not going to do that as it is. We don't care where we land on Duna. We just want to land somewhere on Duna. So let's bring this in. We're going to need to do a little bit of normal burning. Okay, what directionality are we right now? I want to be focused on Duna, thank you. We're a little low, so we can definitely back off. Ooh, that was very sensitive. We can back off a little bit here. That's an Ike encounter. That's a very awkward Ike encounter. I would rather not have one. Thank you very much. And that is a landing there. I don't necessarily want that. I want a periapsis. 40 kilometers is maybe a bit high. We're almost certainly going to have to tweak this on the way in. Or rather, a bit low. Yeah, a bit high. I'm right. The first time. Let's move this to around, like, 15 kilometers. Okay. We're going to have to tweak this. So that's fine for now. 523 meters per second is what we're looking at here. Okay. Let's get aligned for that turn, and we'll see how much of that we're able to actually get out of this stage. It looks like it's only going to be this percentage of it, right? Which is not very high. But 523 meters per second isn't so bad in theory. Okay, so we are aligned here, and we're eventually going to want to probably refresh this, but we'll see what ends up happening with that. Or refuel this in Duna orbit. That's also an option. For now, let's warp forward a few days and prepare for this burn. 3 hours? Yeah, we can keep warping. 3 minutes is slightly better. Okay, 2 minutes, 1 minute, and about 10 seconds. Cool. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Okay, so we're going to burn through the remaining fuel here, and then we're going to have to turn around and get the rest of the fuel burned. Yes, we're approaching partially out of fuel orbital event. I'm aware of this. Wonderful. Half a ton of fuel left. And then we're going to have to detach here as soon as we're out of fuel, which is very shortly. We need to undock here. Then we don't care about this. This needs to flip around, which it already is working on doing. That looks good. Our electric charge isn't the best in the world, but as we get flipped around here, it gets slightly better. And then we need to burn with these tanks. Now I'm going to quick save here just in case pressing spacebar activates this instead of this. It should activate this, but I'm not entirely sure. We'll revert it back if it does the wrong one. Okay, go. Perfect. That was the correct one. Okay, so now we've got about 40 seconds of burn here. Now we need to land with 300 tons, so a refuel of this over Duna might actually be necessary. Which is definitely a doable thing. So just continue this burn for about 25 seconds. If that is necessary, we'll put it in a parking orbit rather than doing an aero capture, and that will be fine. So we've got about 20 seconds of burn time left. I'm just noting our overall amounts of methane and oxidizer. It's definitely going down, no doubt about that. Okay, so our burn timing here is, of course, not exactly accurate, and that is understood. That's because we had to do that swap and flip maneuver, right? So that is fine. We can warp our way through the remainder of this burn. Okay. I'm just parking us here for now, and let's see what our orbit is like. Okay, let's bring that in ever so slightly. 672 kilometers. I want to move us over on a normal side here. So we're going to have to turn, and I'm not sure which normal side we want to go to. That'll be interesting for sure. We did not nail this on the normal, but that's not shocking considering what we had going on for our maneuver. So let's just bring this up over this way. I want to get this brought in a little closer because I would love to do some sort of aero capture. That's the other way. Okay. So we need to flip this on around exactly 180 degrees. We are probably going to run out... we might run out of electric charge on the way over. We'll see. I think we'll be okay on electric charge. That looks fine. And we just want to bring this in, ideally, equatorially. That would be absolutely ideal, to be equatorial. So let's just make a few orbital tweaks here. This will be the most efficient time to do so. Okay, that's 85 kilometers there. But I want to be about there. Then I want to go retrograde and pull it back ever so slightly. So we're going to go pulling it this direction, in theory. We're out of electric charge, but that's okay. We do have trickle electric charge, and we should be fine. We're going to get a lot of these notifications, so. And I just want to put us over at retrograde here. Freeze the physics. And yes, we're going to be out of electric charge. I'm aware. We're just going to park it at retrograde. And I kind of want to, for the time being, deactivate these engines. We'll reactivate them once we are ready to, which will be like after we get this dialed in. So that'll be fine. I want to head back to Duna here. I'm noticing we're having those zoom issues again, but whatever. So this is, of course, an impact trajectory, right? And we definitely do not want an impact trajectory here. So I'm just pulling that out ever so slightly. That is 7 kilometers. 13. 18. Ooh, that didn't turn off. Okay. It did not turn off when I pressed the button, so we overshot that one. Now we're at 142 kilometers. Back to prograde we go, and we have, like, no electric charge to do it with. Like I said, though, we have trickle charge coming in, so that's fine. I did intend to get further on the oxygen, or rather, on the hydrogen tank. But here we are. Currently, we have enough to definitely qualify in terms of mass. I wish I knew what our overall mass was. That would be a useful thing to know. Maybe it's in, like, the non-stageable... No. Maybe it's in, like, the flight report or something? No. I don't think so. Okay. So we're just making our way around towards prograde here. We need to freeze those physics because we're missing and our electric charge is not, you know, ideal. But this is fine. We can definitely make do with this. Okay. Over we go. Now I'm going to thrust limit this engine down to simply 1% thrust because this is going to be very, very delicate operationally. Okay. I reset our physics there because we were overshooting it. And we're going to hop on over here. And let's just bring this right on in. Aiming for about 20 kilometers. Okay, 22, 21, and 20 kilometers. That'll do. So now the question is, can we get this landing burn done with enough fuel? We'll find out. That's a next episode sort of question, though. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings. I'm just going to activate all of these here. There we go. We're ready for that. And a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Atala, Andy McGar, Ali Lee, Dark Horse, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Tommy, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video. And as always, I will see you all next time.